1 2, 1 2, up. 1 2, 1 2, up. I like to introduce myself.
That's how we gonna start it out. Rock with me, vibe with me, yeah. Come take them back, take them. Come on, let it breathe. For the love of MCs before CDs and MP3s and iPods. Still represent for hip-hop. Used to ride with Danelle and Donovan. Beats banging but couldn't understand what they hollering. But it was cool to be a B-boy rapping in the school. It was all hard, a lot of blood pumping through. So fresh and new when my part was half moon. You either love me or leave me alone. That brand new. I can recall back watching Yo and MTV raps like one day I'ma be in them shoes. I'm KCAP. Never thought that. All that inspired what I love, it just collapse. Like a broken home when daddy's gone, where you at? And when you coming back? Cause all I hear is garbage, truly crap. I'd rather listen to R&B and sad beat like I'm not in the mood for rap. I like introduce myself. I like introduce myself. I like introduce myself. My name is KCAP the Die. I know you feel me, I swear. I like introduce
Wayne,
myself.
aka The Incredible, for those that are familiar with me in the city of Dayton, Ohio. And man, I'm a songwriter, producer / artist, and yeah, I'm from the city of Dayton, Ohio. Colleagues with my homeboy KCAP, and yeah, man, KCAP is a in my opinion a Gym City legend, and we go back to the early, well, I would say mid '90s. You know, that's when I met him. He was a young MC out of high school. He came to the studio and instantly I knew it was just something about that dude. Like, I'm like, because you know we record a lot of people. You know, me and my partner Dre Mees. He was one of the main guys. Him and Mo Beats doing hip hop studio sessions and stuff like that. So I started behind them. And, started doing sessions with Cap on accident. Then we, you know, start gradually working together. And I'm like, man, this dude, he can spit. Because it ain't like a lot of MCs in the area. Like a lot of people, what I mean by MCs, I'm talking about like the style of rhymes. Like he a hip hop dude. You understand what I'm talking about? Like I'm talking about that, grab that mic and spit some fire. And you know, we was kind of like on the same page. He liked samples. You know, I did a lot of samples at the time. I mean, I do R&B and other stuff, but at the time I was doing a lot of samples. So that's how we ended up working together. And you know, yeah, man, that's a very talented dude. And he's the only one that I know. Like the rumor, and this is what he told me. He said he got 30 albums. 30. I don't know how true that is, but he said 30. I know a lot of people ain't doing that, so that's a great work ethic. And if you can do 30 albums, that's over 300 songs. Like, and one thing that I can say, and I'm not dissing nobody, but I've heard a lot of things go on, and y'all don't delete this out. I gotta say this. I heard a lot of things that go on in the industry. And so I gotta say, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, KCAP writes his own music. All his rhymes. I watched him pen it down like back in the days of pen and paper. You know what I'm saying? He writes all his rhymes. So that's over 300 songs that's written. And, you know, I watched him. Like there's been times where we be in the studio and just come up with a beat right then and there and get that pen and paper and write his rhymes, like no help. So the notion that everybody need help, you know, that's definitely not true. He writes all his songs. So, but I got off topic, but I'm gonna get on something else. Yeah, man. Dear World. That's I remember working on the first Dear World album. I haven't heard all of the second one. So I don't. Well, I mean, you know what to expect because it's KCAP anyway. But I remember working on the first Dear World album. We had a studio, 809 Walton Avenue, Westwood, city of Dayton, Ohio. And we had a studio in the garage. And I remember working on that album. It was KCAP, another homeboy of mine, Avery Green, went by his real name Airway Facey, rest in peace. And we used to just come in the studio, vibe out, man, and just go through. We had a little sample CD. We go through samples, and they hear something they want, we sample it. Had a keyboard called the Triton, but before we had the Triton, we had a keyboard called the Ensonic. Shoot, I don't know the name. It was the Ensonic something. I don't know the name of it, but we sample it. 2-3 minutes, man. We have a beat. And we had a little booth on the side of the garage. Go in that booth, we had like this. What's this? The phone. We had green phone, spray painted green. Go in that booth, man. Light it up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, those were good times. So I want everybody in the city, man. Y'all support KCAP. Y'all support Truth Music. That's a good dude. Excellent artist, man. Work ethic, crazy. Definitely, I don't know who's gonna outdo him on the songs. Like, if you got over 300 songs, over 30 albums, that's a lot of industry cats that ain't got 30 albums. So that's just the rumor. Now I don't know, man. He gonna have to show me. But that's the rumors that he got 30 albums. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, shout out to Truth Music. Shout out to everybody on Truth Music. What up, Charlie Horse? Shout out to Cleveland, Ohio. Everybody up in Cleveland, Ohio, man. I work at Truth Music, man. And yeah, man. I'm looking forward to this Dear World too. I'm looking forward to it, man. I already know what to expect because ain't none of his albums ever let me down. So y'all go support Spotify, all of the musical platforms, man. Y'all check out KCAP, man. You can go from beginning to end. Some of my favorite albums, see Dear World, For the Love, hip hop. And one of my favorites, we got a song out called Take You Home. Y'all check that out. It's available on YouTube too, man. We did that. We did a lot of collaborations together. Shit, all of them my favorites. So yeah, definitely support Truth Music, support KCAP, man. I'm Tiwan Diwane. That's it, man. That's all I got to say.
My early inspirations of hip hop was in 1994 with the group P-Rock, with a duo, P-Rock and CL Smooth. That album really inspired me, made me feel like I could do it. And that was one of the most memorable days. I remember that day like it was just the first time I was really, truly inspired by hip-hop. Before then, I tried to rap, and I really couldn't do it. The first person I ever tried to battle was my brother off of the Summertime beat by Will Smith and Jazzy Jazz. And I remember I also tried to write a rap from Kwame's song, The Rhythm, and it was horrible. But I definitely tried to give it a go, but I couldn't really do it. To me, MCs, rappers were like superheroes. They were somebody. I just thought they was really smart, and that was like huge to me. I just thought they were the culture. Everybody wanted to be, cool, like a rapper, like, what I'm saying, like Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Biz Markie, Heavy D, what I'm saying, there was just so many, even Queen Latifah, just MC Light, everybody was, these people were cool, the NWA, Brand New Business, everybody, just so many different styles and different flavors, and but when 94 happened, that was the time when I was like, you know what, I can do this. I can do this. It took me years. But I was going through a lot in my teenage years in high school. And, I didn't have a therapist or anything like that. So I just started putting rhyme titles down. Song titles. I put song titles down, and like that was my way of getting through whatever I was going through in life. You know, when you're young, you just kind of just filled with so many different emotions, and you just need an outlet. And I was one of those guys, man. I was just like, I would come home and just try to write to that title, but I just couldn't get it. I couldn't figure out a way to finish a song. I didn't know nothing about 16 bars or anything like that. But I had my cousins were a part of a group where they were the group Mad Dog Click. And I kept hearing about the label they were signed to, which was at the time was Crosstown Records, I want to say. And with Crosstown Records, they had this song called Only Made to Bump that also featured my cousin Scotty. He was singing on the hook. And everybody was really proud of that, you know. So I was really excited about that too. And I was speaking to one of my cousins about, you know, trying to audition or see if I can, you know, be a part of that. And I remember around that time, you know, I just had this mind. I was always thinking like, you know, it was a book bag. Like rappers or songwriters always carried a book bag to the studio. So I had got all my rhymes together, and, you know, because I was bugging my cousin, like, take me to the studio, let me meet the people, let me rap in front of them or whatever. And I still wasn't a good rapper, but I just, you know, I was just something I wanted to do. And make a long story short, got my book bag together, and my cousin came and got me. And I never forget, he came and got me, he had a nice car. We rolled down Gettysburg, and he was like, you know, we're not going to the studio. I just kind of wanted to show you, you know, my car. And I was crushed. I was like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of started a little chip on my shoulder that I ended up developing that just kept growing. But that was the first chip. And so from then, I was like, I'm going to get a rapping partner. I'm going to do this myself. And even with my family, my uncle, rest in peace, he was a manager, you know. So I kind of had ties into the music industry. And but I was like, I'm gonna do it on my own, because what happened with my cousin, that kind of just like teed me off. It was like, and then my family kind of had some ways anyway. So I love my family, but you know, everybody had that. You know, some family members, it ain't, you know, some families is, you know, it's family, but it's, you know, it's a little bit of something else, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, I just was kind of like, all right, I'm gonna do this myself. And make a long story short, I went in, I was in high school, I was at Meadowdale High School, and I was searching for a rap partner, because I'm like, I need a partner, I need to do this with somebody. And I found the guy's name was Flawless, and I was Flawless and KT. We had a little demo, he had a little karaoke machine. I would go to his house after school, and I think he stayed in Daytona Village. So I would catch the bus to his crib, and you know, we would just bring like singles, what they call them, singles or whatever, and just rap to like Tennessee instrumentals and whatever beats. I think he even had some beats that somebody did, and he was rapping on those. And I was super excited about that. We created a demo off of a karaoke machine, and we tried to duplicate the tapes and, you know, try to sell them. It was crazy. But anyway, so we would even go to like studios and like different studios that were real studios, and like I always thought you had to audition. I thought you always had to rap in front of somebody. And that's what we were doing. My mom would take us to like Rephrase, and I forgot the other studio. I forgot what it was called. I can't really waste the time, but I remember we auditioned for Rephrase, and you know, later on in life, it was kind of like, they don't care. They want $35 an hour. That's what they were charging. And I remember it was the summer. I want to say summer of '98. Yeah, the summer of '98. I still was living in Residence Park, and I remember I was working in a youth program at Fairview Middle School, and the music teacher was talking, and it just dawned on me, I'm like, he's a music teacher. So with him being a music teacher, why not? Like, hey, you know anybody that have a studio? Sure enough, guy upstairs, Dremel Tucker, he has a studio. I go over there, I go upstairs, knock on the door. Little guy comes to, you know, Me's is short, so he comes to the door. cool guy. He says, hey, and I introduced myself, and I said, I'm a rapper, man, and da-da-da. And next thing you know, we exchange numbers. I call him, and he tells me it's $15 an hour. And at this particular time, I'm like, yo, hold on, they say 35, you talking about 15, and you like down the street at Westwood. So I'm from Residence Park, and from Dayton, Ohio. Westwood is down the street. We about from Hoover, we connect with Hoover, so off of Gettysburg. So it's like, all right, you right down the street, so I know you in the hood, I'm in the hood. I'm like, oh man, this might be janky. It was like a life-changing experience. It was like the best studio ever, you know what I'm saying? As they are like legendary producers, and that garage, man, saved my life. But anyways, I kind of was, I was going to the studio a lot. And then my partner at the time was working at McDonald's, and he didn't make a lot of sessions. And I'm not the type of person that waits for anybody, so maybe I wasn't a good partner. So I ended up recording records. I think I had like 4 or 5 records without him. He was like, hey man, you act like you going solo. I'm like, I guess I am. So yeah, that kind of started it. After that, made a lot of records, made a demo. My sister was working at was not like Spectrum. It was some Media One or something. And her friend's dude was the CEO. He owned a label called Paper Chase Records, and Paper Chase Records was a big label in Dayton at the time. They had like Government Hustlers, Rick B, ODC, I think Machete, and so I passed my demo tape to my sister, got it to him, and I was signed to Paper Chase Records around 99? And it was crazy because it was like I didn't fit in with them. They were like street cats or whatever, and I was just a young dude, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Residence Park, but I wasn't, it was kind of like Kanye with, it's almost like if you to put Kanye with Death Row or something like that, you know what I'm saying? And I just didn't fit, but I was still excited. I was optimistic about it. And, I was supposed to be going to the studio, and this is another thing that developed a chip on my shoulder. We was in the studio, and the guy never, shout out to them, but they never paid for my sessions. And shout out to me, my brother. He ended up kicking me out of the studio because he didn't get his money, which I understood. That was another chip on my shoulder. So from that point on, I just, I never signed out the deal or anything like that. I just was like, all right, I'll pay myself. I will pay, And all of those years of just having that chip, that rejection, or that people sleeping on me, it just kind of created this hunger inside of me. So when around that same time, I had I lost my father. And when I lost my father, I had recently spoke to him one day, and he wanted a haircut. And we had some way we had a disagreement, you know what I'm saying? I love my father, but it was like, when you're young, you don't know how to separate what's going on with your parents, their relationship between, with your relationship with your parents. Like, if your dad is doing your mother a certain way, you kind of take it personal. Like, yo, how you treat my mom. Like, as I got older, I would understand more. And my father really loved me. My parents, man, they loved me. I was filled with a lot of love. So that's why a lot of rejection was kind of foreign to me. It was like, whoa, I'm getting rejected. I'm the baby. Everybody loved Kevin, you know what I'm saying? And make a long story short, after we had that argument, and I hung up on him. Now, I didn't know that was the last time I was going to speak to him. But next thing you know, I'm at home. We had moved from Residence Park. We lived on Fairport at this time. And then like the next day, or 2 days later, I can't remember, but my mother came into the room, and I thought she was about to go off on me because I forget. Then I'm trying to fake sleep. My mother comes in, and she tells, she touches me on my shoulder, on my back. And I'm faking like I'm sleeping because I know she's about to go off on me. I'm like, oh, man. And she tells me, your father is deceased. Yo, man, I was so numb. You talking about, I'm only like 17 years old. I was super numb, and I didn't say nothing. So I got out the bed. I'm like, oh, you lying, you lying. I'm laughing like, oh, you lying, Not thinking like, who would play like that? But, I'm young, I'm a kid, immature. I run and go call his girlfriends on the other end crying. And that's when I knew it was real. So I'm just like, no, I'm just like literally just like kind of in a daze. And, everybody's, having all of these, coming around me and talking about my dad as far as like good memories and stuff like that. And I didn't cry. I didn't have no emotion because I was numb. And I remember, at his funeral, I didn't cry. And we went, had dinner with the family. And my sister, I just told her I wanted to leave because everybody was doing all this, these little memories and laughing, which is understandable. But I just couldn't take it. And I remember my sister taking me home, and that was the first time I cried. But from that day on, I was just like, all right, I'm really going hard on this music. That just was another chip. It's like I was robbed of a father. And then on top of that, my last, I didn't even say goodbye. I didn't even say nothing good. The last thing I said to him, I hung up on. And that, to this day, bothers me. To this day. It took a long time even. I don't even know if I even gave myself, but that was one of those things. I mean, I know he forgives me, what I'm saying? But I just, that. So, I just went hard body on the music because at that time it was just kind of like, it was just me. Music was the only thing keeping me standing at that time. Like I was done. I didn't care about nothing. I didn't care about graduating. I didn't care about nothing. It's hard to explain how I felt. So I was in the studio. That was it. I buried everything in the rhymes. I was just writing. Did my first album. Still supposed to be under the paper chase, but it didn't happen. My album was supposed to come out in September. That didn't happen. So another chip on my shoulder. Okay, they playing me. I'm putting it out myself. I don't like waiting, like I said. I put it out myself. And I'm just like, it did good. My first project, it really did good. It was called Lyrical Smoke. I remember we were struggling financially at that particular time. My mom was a hard worker, but we just, kind of had, short on funds. And we had just moved into that house in Fairport. And in the same suit I saw my father buried in, I was studying the show. It was a talent show coming up, and I knew we could win some money. So I'm like, I need to get some groceries. I'm going to get some groceries. So I wore that same pinstripe suit. I still have it to this day. It's the only suit I have, real tall. I know that's crazy, but it's true. I'm going to do that. I would get some suits. But that's the only suit I have. And I can fit it and everything still. But I wore it, and I knew that would kind of, help me to win, and I did win. I definitely won. I think I won third place. I think I won. I won third place. Yeah. So, but anyways, I did 4 albums in 1 year in 2001, and that was my thing. I was just like, I was so determined to be a great rapper. Now, my name's KT. It's KCAP the Don. My initial name was KT Capital. It was KT at first, just because my mom named us all KTs. It's Ken, Kenyatta, Tavalis, Kenya, Tamika, and Kevin Tamars. All right? So, all right, I'm KT, representing my family. And it was a battle rapper by the name of Killer Tactics. I said, okay. All right, well, I'm King Toe, right? And then it was like, no, I gotta separate that because it was still like KT Upstart, some other people named KT. So if I'm KT Capital, I'm the main, you know what I'm saying? I'm the main. So I'm like KT Capital. And throughout the years, one of my homeboys, Oso, shout out to Oso, he would always call me KCAP. He was like, KCAP, it was short. So I was like, I like that, KCAP, you know what I'm saying? And the Don came from my nephew. My oldest brother had a son named Keeson. And he was born, you know, I'm always good with giving people nicknames. I was like, Keyshawn the Don, Keyshawn the Don. And with the Keyshawn the Don thing, that just kind of birthed, I just stole my nickname I gave my nephew. Like, he was a baby, so I just take his KCAP the Don. So that's what happened. And I just, man, like I said, for them years, man, I just was writing so many, I just wanted to be better. You know, I just wanted to be a better rapper, because my first couple of years, I was trash, you know. But I was a good songwriter. I was a good performer. And I loved the culture of hip hop. I just, again, rappers were superheroes to me, but I had this chip on my shoulder. I just always, for everything that ever happened to me, it was more things that happened throughout the years, but I'm trying to keep this short. I was just I always felt like, you know, people doubted me, you know, and I knew I did things different than everybody else, because I'm from Residence Park, like I said, and I'm really from Northland, which is the projects, and you know, music was an escape for me. Like I said, with Dremel and Tiwan, shout out to Ty and Mr. Tucker, you know, putting that studio together for his sons, that saved me. That was a way to escape the world I was in. You know, a lot of my homies was doing a lot of crazy stuff, robbing and doing dumb things. We was fighting a lot. So rap was a way for me to like get out. So I'm always been puzzled by people that brought the streets to rap. Like we're not from New York, so, but I was always puzzled, because I'm like, why? In my mind, like, why would you do that? Like, you telling on yourself, like you're literally giving them something to say. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up around nothing but street dudes. You know what I'm saying? So that was different for me. So with hip hop, it was like an escape. It was escapism. Like I was like, okay, I can just get away and I can tell my story, and I can just be me without having to feel like I gotta fight somebody, or you know what I'm saying, or do what I gotta do. I mean, I might talk some crazy stuff, because it was a time where people wanted to hear all that, them gun bars, and they still do. But you know, but for me, when I did my albums, boom, and that's how I did Dear World. Dear World was a album, the initial Dear World. When I was 23, I wanted to do an album that was very reflective of who I was. I was going through a lot at that time, and I wanted to express myself. And when I released that album, it was therapy. So here we are with Dear World 2. With Dear World 2, I feel like I felt the same way. The world was going through a lot of different things, you know what I mean? So I'm talking about like the pandemic. You know, even before the pandemic, man, we had the tornado, and then after the tornado, we had the massacre, when I lost, you know, two young people I knew. Rest in peace to TJ. Rest in peace to that sister. I forget her name, but I remember her. I used to work with her grandmother and her mom, and she had to work under me. Was the young lady that passed in that massacre, you know, and it was just horrible, you know. And then right after that, here come the pandemic. So it was a lot of stuff going on that was like crazy. So, and at that time, I was kind of like retired, because again, you just get to that point in your life where it's like, all right, I don't really fit in. I'm older now. The music is going a whole nother way. You know, I just feel like I used to call it music. I'm like, it's fad music. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, you know, I always say like COINTEL created the streets, because, you know, they neutralized our communities. We were always into togetherness and doing things for our community. And here you go, you know, when they flooded the community with drugs and things like that. So now we're rapping about this stuff. So I'm like, this is a product of COINTELPRO. So I was kind of like, I'm cool. It's kind of going in a whole nother direction. It ain't going the way I want it to go, or the way I feel like that inspired me initially. There's still rappers out there, shout out to them, that's doing it. It's not like the whole culture, but they're established. They're already in the game. Me, I'm a person that was kind of bucking the system. I wanted to do it my way. I had ways to get into the industry, but I wanted to do it my way. And it was seeming like, you know, with everything that's going on, streaming and all of that, I was like, oh yeah, it's just, I don't know, I'm gonna do something else, you know. But with all of that stuff that was going on, and I had my own personal trials and tribulations, man, I got really sick, and almost, you know, it wasn't my time though, you know, and all of that took place, and I was like, I'm gonna do this album, you know, and I did a video talking about it, and I was in Florida, and I decided I'm gonna do it. Dear World, baby, Dear World 2, something you can learn from. I think it's something that can be taught in schools, man. But that's my story, man. KCAP the Don, Dear World 2 is in stores. You know what I mean? And I hope you guys check it out. I hope my story, hopefully it inspires some people. And I still got that chip on my shoulder, but it's a good chip. I'm not mad at nobody. It just make me want to be a little better. You know, I always say I'd rather have heart than skill, because I started off with a lot of heart. And you know, a lot of times when you have skill, person have skill, they stop, or they always thinking, they always putting stuff out. And you got that heart, you just always feel like, if I'm up, they was up 2 hours early. You just got that drive to go. And that's me. That's KCAP the Don, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Deal Road 2. July 13th, baby.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world